What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the brand new 2026 Mercedes-Benz AMG GLC 43, courtesy of Mercedes-Benz of Hagerstown in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So we are in this one today because this thing has 161 more horsepower than the standard GLC 300, which is pretty substantial. Also, you got the AMG styling, of course, and this is all the luxury that Mercedes-Benz is known for, of course. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. So MSRP for the AMG GLC 43 will start at $67,550, which is only a $450 bump from last year, which honestly isn't that bad compared to what I've been seeing lately. But powering the beast is a handcrafted 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a mild hybrid system. And handcrafted meaning the guy who puts together the engine actually signs a plaque and puts it on top of the engine. So I absolutely love that. I think that's such a cool little added touch there. But anyways, 416 horsepower at 6,700 RPM, 369 pound-feet of torque coming in at 5,000 RPM, power sent to all 4 wheels through an AMG Speed Shift 9-speed automatic. And by the way, you get aluminum paddle shifters with that, which of course we will be testing out here in a little bit, so I'm excited for that. 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 4.7 seconds. It's plenty impressive. MPG numbers 19 in the city, 25 on the highway, taking premium unleaded fuel. So before we do any kind of fun acceleration or paddle shifter test here in the AMG GLC 43, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. And so there's a couple different ways you can access the drive modes. There's an AMG button located just underneath the infotainment screen. There's also a circular dial on the steering wheel here as well. So I think the circular dial is actually a little bit cooler, so I'm going to play around with that real quick. But ultimately, drive modes will include comfort, sport, sport plus, slippery, and individual, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, the suspension settings, the exhaust note. Yes, we will be doing an exhaust clip a little bit later in the video, and yes, it definitely opens up the valves. It's absolutely wonderful. But steering sensitivity and the eco start stop system then as well. So now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test. I want to see how quickly the paddle shifters react for us here. And of course, let's see how quickly we can get our new 2026 AMG GLC 43 here up to speed. All right, we're at a red light here, waiting for it to turn green. Tra-la-la, yeah. Oh! Oh! This thing's fun, man. That was cool. Did you guys hear that? That was so stinking cool. That was in Sport Plus driving mode as well, so dang. Okay, paddle shifters, lightning quick. Love that they're aluminum as well, so absolutely would use the paddle shifters in this particular SUV. And I never get to say that. I never get to say that I would use paddle shifters in an SUV because usually they suck. This one, dang on point. But as far as acceleration goes, it's plenty fine. It's plenty quick. However, there is a little bit of turbo lag at the very beginning, and I didn't know what to expect there because it does have a mild hybrid system, and a lot of times that can kind of fix that. But in this particular case, maybe not completely, but still plenty of an acceleration to merge you onto the highway. There's definitely no issues with that acceleration whatsoever. It's dang quick. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 15.4-inch perforated front discs. That's insane, with 4 piston front calipers and the AMG logo, just for reference, guys, just for reference here. 15-inch ventilated front disc is what I had on my old Ford Mustang GT, and that had some ridiculous stopping power. But anyways, in the back then, 14.6-inch solid rear disc. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, comes in at 110 feet. That's better than a sports sedan number. It's absolutely brilliant. As far as braking feel goes, deer, you guys see it? I don't know if the GoPro caught that or not, but I'm gonna slow down here for a second. Yeah, braking power is plenty fine. It's actually maybe a little bit on the softer side of things, not as firm of a braking feel as I kind of expected, but still, that 60 to 0 and 110 feet, that's a remarkable number for an SUV. Typically what I say, SUVs usually land in the 120s. anything in the 1-teens is a sports sedan, so 110 feet is better than a sports sedan. That's dang good, and that makes sense with the size of the discs. So yeah. Anyways, then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get a 4-link front axle, in the back 5-arm multi-link rear design, but you also get an adaptive damping suspension, and that means it monitors each shock absorber individually, not only adjusting to the road imperfections, giving you a smoother ride, but it also tightens up that suspension during heavy cornering, giving you better handling as well. So it really does give you the best of both worlds. You definitely notice the ride quality when you drive a car with an adaptive damping suspension versus the same car without one. So I'm a big fan that this thing has that particular suspension configuration. That's definitely nice. The other cool thing though that this car has that you probably wouldn't expect is you do get active rear steering, and that actually comes standard. So that's going to help with like turning radius and stuff like that. So I'm a massive fan that this thing has that as well. But overall, as far as ride quality goes, in my short little test drive here today, it's been perfectly fine. Definitely absorbing the road imperfections. Not that there are any on this particular road, but it's pretty darn good. Now, as far as cabin noise goes, we're going 60 miles per hour. I'll be quiet here for a sec. Besides the exhaust note, but because I have it in the Sport Plus driving mode, it's plenty serene, so just take my word for it there. As far as steering feel goes, it's incredible. It is incredible. In an SUV, you very rarely find this kind of a steering feel in an SUV, but I guess AMG, so it's to be expected. But anyways, the steering feel is absolutely wonderful, especially in the Sport Plus driving mode. It instantly points you in the direction that you want to go. Of course, this is adjustable. If you put it in comfort, it's going to loosen up for you. Definitely loosens up, but still a very nice steering feel there. By the way, back to that active rear steering real quick, because I wanted to elaborate real quick on that one. It can turn up to 2.5 degrees at speeds up to 37 miles per hour. So I do want to mention that. But then touching our rear visibility, I can see perfectly fine out my rear view mirror there, so you're definitely not going to have any issues with that. In addition to that, touching on forward visibility a little bit, rain sensing windshield wipers do come standard. So whenever this thing detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's going to automatically turn those things on for you. So just one less thing got to worry about, kind of like automatic headlights. But then lastly, with forward visibility, this is pretty cool. Right now I am looking at a head-up display through my James Aura shades here, so if you guys wanted to pick some of those up and support the channel, there'll probably be a pop-up somewhere on the screen, but it is super bright. I am a big fan of that, and by the way, that comes with the Pinnacle trim that we do have with us here today. So yeah, head-up display, that's pretty cool too. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior now of our brand new 2026 Mercedes-Benz AMG GLC 43. That's a mouthful. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Mercedes-Benz GLC 43 AMG. It's a lot to say, but you get the point. Finished in Verde Silver Metallic, in case you were curious of our exact exterior color name. So this is an added paint option, by the way. I think it goes for right around $800. Black and Polar White are the only two free paint options for this particular one, so just wanted to make you aware of that. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where this thing is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the letter W, indicating that the GLC is built and assembled in Germany, as it should be. But starting up front, or starting up top kind of, you got that twin power dome hood. That definitely looks good. In front and center, you got that AMG crest found on the hood as well. Just below all of that, you have an AMG specific vertical bar front grille in typical AMG fashion there, with the AMG lettering. To the sides, LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. You got the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and the sense of the vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. Then when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up the high beams for you there. And there is an AMG night package. I wanted to mention that. We don't have it with us here today, but that goes for $750 in case you were interested. But that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now let's go around to the side of this one. You're either going to find silver or gloss black roof rails starting up top there. Chrome or gloss black window surrounds, again, dependent upon the configuration you go with. No privacy glass. I think that's one of the big mysteries that I have with this one. You would think at least the rear windows and the back would be finished in a tint, but that would probably be the first thing I do if I get this car, would be to tint the rear glass at least, if not all of it. But anyways, body colored or gloss black power adjustable side mirrors. They will be heated with LED integrated turn signals, and they're going to be power folding then as well. In case you're curious what is written on that front fender, it says turbo electrified clarified on the front fenders. I think the AMG crest or some kind of AMG lettering would look good there instead. But anyways, then taking a look down at the wheel setup, 20-inch AMG twin 10-spoke alloys do come standard. However, there are 20-inch and 21-inch wheel designs to really customize it and make it your own. I think the only other thing I would change on the side profile here are those matte black side skirts. I would probably change those to body colored. I think that would make it look so much better in my personal opinion. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the GLC here, starting all the way to the top, no body colored shark fin antenna, no antenna whatsoever. It is a very clean look for that particular reason. I absolutely love it. That's something that Mercedes-Benz has done for a while now. But just below that rear spoiler with the integrated brake light, you got the rear window wiper affixed to the rear glass there, of course. LED taillights do come standard. It's something I wanted to mention to you guys real quick. Let's see if they're actually on. You do have LED license plate lighting back there as well. I never like to overlook that because I think that is a pretty cool little thing going on back there. And then you got a matte black rear diffuser towards the bottom there. And just to the sides there are dual exhaust outlets with quad tips, and it's integrated into the rear bumper, and it looks so dang good. So they can actually be finished in chrome or gloss black. We got the chrome, of course. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. So now since we are around to the back of the GLC here, when it comes to opening that rear tailgate, a power tailgate does come standard, so you got to appreciate that. There is a button on the key fob. There is a rubberized button, of course, on the tailgate itself then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 21.9 cubic feet behind that second row. If that was not enough space, there is a 40-20-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down quite flat. That's going to bump that up to 56.3 cubic feet then. Got some cargo lighting back there. There's a fully carpeted cargo area. I'm always a big fan of that. BMW does that too. I always like that. But chrome plated tie down anchors back there. You got grocery bag hooks on both sides. I found a 12-volt power outlet. That was kind of cool. Elastic strap on the one side there. There is a cargo cover, and then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you're actually going to find a decent amount of in-floor storage, like more so than I'm usually used to seeing. So that was kind of cool too. But then making our way up to the rear legroom, that comes in at 37.4 inches. For reference, I'm even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the rear seats there. Rear center armrest with cup holders does come standard. Just because the rear center armrest with cup holders is a little bit tricky here, I wanted to show you how to get to the cup holders. You just simply press in on the end of the rear center armrest there, and then you press back in halfway and then let it go for the cup holders. So that's where the tricky part comes in. But anyways, rear ventilation back there, heated rear seats go for $500 if you wanted that option. The only thing missing for the rear passengers, I was kind of surprised, was there's no USB charging port. So that's something you typically find. I don't know. But anyways, then making our way up to the front seats, power adjustable front seats with 4-way power lumbar coming standard. Got memory settings for the driver and passenger for up to 3 different drivers, 3 different passengers. You don't always find it on the passenger side, so I had to mention that. Heated front seats do come standard. They come finished into MB Tex upholstery. Leather seating goes for $1,620 if you wanted that option. And of course, there are AMG performance seats that go for $2,500. So if you wanted those, we do have one of the optional colors. It's kind of like a saddle brown black combo, but $1,620 leather option. But I like it. I think it's a cool design, and they are plenty comfortable in my short little test drive here today. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is power adjustable. It is leather wrapped, and it is heated as well. And of course, you got the AMG lettering found on the bottom portion of that steering wheel. So definitely a big fan of this. And the 10-2 grips are plenty fine for me. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. It's a very heavy duty key, very nice weight to it. You got the AMG lettering on the one side, then when you flip it over, the lock button is the Mercedes AMG logo there, and then you got unlock at the bottom to pop the rear lift gate there. But remote start can be had with the Mercedes mobile app if you wanted to go ahead and start this thing up remotely, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located kind of in between the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen there. And so speaking of the gauge cluster, this is a 12.3 inch digital gauge cluster, and it looks dang good. So Here's the reason why I love this and why this may be the best gauge cluster in existence. When you press the home button on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, that gives you a bunch of different loadouts. You have Super Sport, which is what I left it in. There's Sport, there's Classic, there's a navigation loadout. The only thing that I'm missing, that I miss having, is Understated. They had that in the past where you can change the color, and it was just a very minimalist design, but they also have Off-Road to give you a bunch of your off-road statistics up there as well. So tons of different looks that you can pick between to really customize this one and make it your own. And I didn't mention it yet, but the head-up display, it's the same way. There's a ton of different looks you could pick between. I kept it on race. It looks absolutely amazing, but there's also Super Sport and Standard and a couple others. So the gauge cluster is done absolutely perfectly. And of course, it gives you things like how many miles you have left until you hit empty. There's what drive mode you're in. There's outside temperature there, sunny and 70 degrees today. You gotta appreciate that. Digital speedometer, of course, and the Super Sport's kind of like this 3D look. So wonderful gauge cluster. Now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. Let me start with the panorama roof. That does come standard. LED interior lighting as well. Universal garage door openers for up to 3 different garage doors found in the bottom portion of this frameless rear view mirror here. Dual zone climate control coming standard. You get 64 colors of ambient lighting. However, with the Pinnacle trim we have with us here today, you also get enhanced ambient lighting. So a little brighter illumination there. You got to appreciate that. Wireless phone charger does come standard. That's located kind of just underneath of this AMG badge here. I kept the plastic on that because I don't know, I just want to keep it fresh. That looks so cool there. Just behind the wireless phone charger, you have your cup holders, of course, couple USB charging ports in there. Then within the center armrest, there's actually a decent amount of space in there. And you have an LED light within that center armrest and also a USB charging port as well. I love the texturized wood finish here, found just above the passenger side glove box, and that continues on all the way across. The fighter jet style air vents, you always get those in Mercedes. I think they look really good as well. And you got ambient lighting within them. That's another one of those things Mercedes-Benz has done for a while now. That looks so good. I love the contrast stitching, the saddle brown contrast stitching across the black leather. That looks good as well. Aluminum speaker covers. Like, the interior quality is just perfect. That's all I gotta say. It doesn't get any better than this when it comes to interior quality. So well done, Mercedes, for that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen, because this is equally impressive. Yet again, 11.9-inch infotainment screen. You get Bluetooth and audio streaming, of course. Wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. There's off-road pages. I'm going to tap that real quick. So that's essentially what the gauge cluster was showing. You can choose to display that on the infotainment screen if you'd rather do that. There's also your AMG performance pages. I tried to leave those on while I was driving so I could show you guys the horsepower and torque at any given time. That was pretty stinking cool. There's also a vehicle section where you can see your angles and whatnot. And then IWC is this really fancy analog clock in digital form. So I thought that was pretty darn cool too. Oh, and it's a timer. You can actually do it, like, I guess if you were on a track or something, you were doing like a lap timer or something, you could start and stop and then reset. That's pretty cool. I love that. Of course, you got factory navigation system up there as well. There's your climate control information. You can adjust that too. Ambient lighting settings. There's a bunch of different colors there you can adjust. And of course, your radio information. So when it comes to the sound systems, there's 2 of them essentially. You get 8 speakers coming standard. However, the Pinnacle trim we have with us here today is going to give you a 15-speaker Burmester surround sound system with 710 watts. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. It's pretty dang good, like ton of bass, and it really does sound like it's coming at you from all directions. Definitely overkill for a vehicle of this size. It's a wonderful sound system. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen is when you do put the GLC in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. And then that 360-degree monitor there to the left, that's going to be with the Pinnacle trim, again, that we have with us here today. So that's how you're seeing that. But that, as always, is going to lead us into safety. And so starting with the best part, this thing is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest rating given by IIHS. So that pretty much says it all right there. Front side curtain airbags do come standard. You get a driver's knee airbag up front as well as a front center airbag. So that kind of prevents the driver and passenger from headbutting each other. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard. There's a tension assist, active brake assist, emergency call service, which is kind of cool. So if you were to get into an accident, the car is going to call you and ask if you need an ambulance or the police or whatever the case. I like that. Blind spot assist with exit warning, and Parktronic as well, which is where the car does all the steering and the braking and the gas and all that and parks the car for you. Really cool and really wild feature there. But also there is a driver assistance package that goes for almost $2,000, and that gives you all the other advanced safety features. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the AMG 43, plenty of power from a handcrafted engine. So definitely that is 100% on point. Also love the aluminum paddle shifters. You very rarely find those, believe it or not. Like, look at a lot of the competition. Typically you see matte black paddle shifters still, even on luxury automakers, but this one's got aluminum, like the real thing. You gotta absolutely appreciate that. Love the AMG styling, wonderful tech, especially the gauges and the head-up display. As far as room for improvement goes, I got a few things there as well. I think tinted glass in the back, rear privacy glass is definitely something that should come standard on this thing. There's also no rear USB charging ports, which is really surprising because typically even Corollas these days I think come standard with rear USB charging ports. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And then the other thing is that driver assistance package, the majority of that stuff comes standard on like any Honda or Toyota. Not all of it, but the majority of it does. So a lot of that should come standard. Safety should come standard. Maybe not the super advanced stuff, but most of it, I'd say like 80% of it should definitely come standard. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of the AMG GLC 43 in the comments section below. That's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media stuff at the bottom of the screen. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what I've been doing for 12 years now. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay golden.